Picture that with a Kodak, or better yet, go to Times Square, take a picture of me with a Kodak. Took my life from negative to positive, I just want y'all to know that. And tonight, let's enjoy life. Pitbull, Naya, Neo, that's right.
I will not love you tonight. Give me everything tonight. For all we know, we might not get tomorrow. Let's do it tonight.
Good night, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? We're going to talk about what do you know about Cuba? Do you know the fallacy? Do you know the fantasy? Do you know the real Cuba? Do you know what actually Cuba is really like? We're going to discuss that today with an amazing guest that does his show, does videos out in public. He goes out and asks people exactly that question, what is Cuba like? And many other topics that go along with that theme. So tonight is going to be a special one, because we're going to really discuss and go into the weeds of what Cuba really is. Typically, you hear that Cuba is a place where free healthcare is common. There's great medicine. There's great scientific things happening with, in this case, with the COVID vaccine now currently, but even in the past with cancer. You hear about how people are free and how people live happily in the island. That's the story you usually get from some media and from some visitors to the island. They talk about the mojitos, the cigars, and the stains at the beach, and the great wildlife, and the great nature, and how well it's preserved, and how people live happy, and how people are always engaging with tourists, and they're welcoming, and why they're always it's a place of satisfaction, and people always want to go back. Well, tonight we're going to take a huge dive into that, really figure out why that's the, why that's the view of the international community towards Cuba. And I have a great person to interview tonight among you, and then I will spread the link with you guys, so that way you guys can also ask questions and kind of be part of this series. This channel is called the Real Cuba, and what they do is they go into regular people just like you, and they ask, what do you know about Cuba, or what do you know about this topic? Let me show you some of the topics they have here. For example, they often talk about one of the last videos I saw was on this awesome, let me see if I find it here, topic about freedom or liberty. Like, what does it mean? What's the freedom or liberty mean to you? So, for example, this was one of the topics they brought up in one of their last shows. So I highly encourage you to check the channel out. Let me bring the creator of the channel, tonight's interviewer, tonight's guest, tonight's host. It's going to be me, but we're going to really engage with this person and really talk about what Cuba is really like. How you doing, brother? How's it going? Thank you for joining us. The Real Cuba. So how are things going? You live in Canada now, right?
Yep. Thank you so much, Jose, for having me in your show. And yeah, I live in Canada, Toronto, and I've been here for 13 years. And this is what it is.
So so tonight we're going to discuss the Real Cuba, and let's say some highs to the people in the chat so we get this, everybody. Tony Diotis, thank you for being there. We love you. Thank you for always sharing. We have Letty. Thank you so much. Letty's amazing, always there with the hands up. Because Cuba is really known when we do talk about what people know about Cuba. People talk about dancing and about living the life, but we're going to talk about everything behind that, the behind the scenes of the Cuban life. We have also Kureche, thank you for being brother. He's somebody who always gonna have humor in this channel. So Kureche, thank you for being there. So first of all, how do you what's the main purpose of your channel, The Real Cuba? So you created the channel, The Real Cuba. What's the main purpose behind it?
Well, the main purpose is to let know the world that everything that they been listening about Cuba through the years, and everything that this like fantasy of communism is was being created all over the world. It's nothing else than a big lie. And then I'm focusing like let know everyone that of course we have a different world, a different world inside Cuba. Cuba is a poor country. Cuba it's having one of the worst administrations ever all over the world, and somehow, and in a way, we're trying to get the Cubans, the Cuban people, to understand how we live in another society outside of Cuba. That's the main purpose of all.
I love it. So, and it's kind of to change that narrative that's out there in the international community. You know, that Cuba's this great place. Most people think like, you know, like when you hear Cuba, you kind of hear about you know, like Correction's name is Yeah Baby. You know, let's go party. But behind that party, there's a lot of prostitution because of the need. There's a lot of lack of elementary needs in the communities inside Cuba. There's people talk about the free healthcare, but there's the healthcare is really not free. You know,
It's not free.
I don't know if you tell people when you talk about, I don't know if you've done, you live in Canada, so you guys have a different have a public healthcare system. So are you going to go into the healthcare and how people in Cuba actually have to in some ways give gifts to get service?
This is actually one of the topics that we have. We're gonna talk about in the next videos coming. But even when we're doing interviews and we ask about what do you know about Cuba, people, the first thing that comes out is like, oh, the health system, I think is the best. They are known for having the best doctors in all over the world, and like things like, oh, you guys have a good education, which we already know that is not good anymore, and stuff like that. And
yeah, so like if you do a quick search of Cuba right now, like if you put what's going on in Cuba, you're gonna talk, you know, you're gonna see news about, for example, Raul. You're gonna see news about the vaccine that they're making, but you're not gonna see, for example, this. You're not gonna see this just happened yesterday, and this happens every day. Like right now, as we're speaking, there's a lot of members of San Isidro and a lot of members of people in the dissidents with police escorts outside their house, making sure they don't go out. And so let me play this video so people kind of see what. So when you search in the internet for Cuba, you typically don't see this type of videos, and we can narrate it if you want to help me out. Here, Gisbel, we can tell and describe what's going on. These people are part of San Isidro. It's Luis Manuel Alcantara and others, and they get wrapped out of their house. Oh wait, let me put the sound because I don't think you guys are gonna get the sound. So let me come back. Sorry. Let's do the share again because I don't think I'm showing here your channel, so people can come and check out your channel, The Real Cuba. They can see right here the some of the videos you already posted. They're they're very dynamic. People's reactions are priceless. I think it's a great project, and it's really changing the perception of the international community towards what's really Cuba about.
That's the main purpose of it.
Okay. And then let me make sure. I don't know if I share screen, but let me do it again because I didn't share audio last time. So let me. I think I'm already still sharing screen, right? I'll share here. Wait, give me 1 second. Let me share audio. Okay, now we got it. So okay, there you go. Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulty there, but yeah, let's share this video so people know exactly what goes on today. Like, see, instead of that search you do, you see the vaccine, you see this in the streets of Havana with people trying to protest against the government. This is a regular street. This is right in front of where the San Isidro movement's main house is at. Some artists are protesting. They're inside the house. Watch what happens as the cop car shows up.
Mommy!
They're being taken out of their house. They go inside their house to pick them with no regard, just because
they are actually like they are actually living with no rights. These people. Like
and all this is happening because the Cuban totalitarian government has this congressional meeting that is not, real democratically elected. But anyway, they had this congressional meeting because Raul is stepping down supposedly, and they don't want anybody on the streets protesting or trying to initiate anything. So they have every decent house with police escorts outside of them. And this
Jose,
is
it's important. It's important that people know that this is happening. And look, they are right now taking everything out of his house. All the artwork that he had there, it was taken by these people that are part of the government system, I think, or the police, the political police.
Yep. So the artists have like art that they've made during this time there, and they took it all away. They just stole it. The people that took this distance away,
and this is
they were not police. They did not show any police badge, nothing. They just showed up, went inside just like anybody would, like any regular person, just picked them up and did all this. So we see this is called institutional violence, and people don't talk about it. People in the international community don't talk about that huge institutional violence going on in Cuba right now.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's very a shame that any political and international organization is not actually saying anything about this. Like it's
because, like I said, they're focused on they're focused on the vaccine and on they're focused on the vaccine and on stop sharing. They're focused on the vaccine and on Castro's moves, because they changed some of the hierarchy inside the Cuban government. But that doesn't really. But those are the things that attract the headlines in the international community, and people outside of Cuba think that's really what Cuba's like. So let's go by steps. So when I tell people about Cuba, they tell me about the nightlife. Tell me about the beach.
Yeah, this is really, really interesting, because in the last video that we put out, like I actually got into this. I run into this guy. We were just talking with a group of young people, and then all of a sudden this guy comes because he wants to interact with us. But then when we start talking to him and say, okay, what do you know about Cuba? And then he says, oh, Cuba, they are free, they are happy, they are people that and how do you know? Like no, my friend told me that he goes there and he party and he has a bottle with the girls in the club, and everything is good, and this is and then we told him, like, that's not the Cuban life, that's the tourist life. And then that's when the other guys started like debating about it, and it was a really interesting point of view what I got, and the feedback was awesome because they even I got a story out of one of the guys that he used to live his family used to live in a communist country in
Vietnam, right? No,
Vietnam. Yeah, and they had to like run away the same way that Cubans do to US, like in a boat. And
but like it's a little different in Canada. Canadians typically travel more to Cuba than Americans in this case. So when you're going out and you sometimes some of the Canadians you're interacting with have gone to Cuba. Here it's a little different because a lot of Americans haven't really gone to Cuba. So when they go to Cuba, they go to a resort, and then when they go out of the resort, they meet Cubans that are honestly hustling to make money. So the impressions they have of
Exactly.
Cubans is, it's a really good one, because obviously when you're hustling and you're trying to make business with tourists, you're not, you're gonna
You're a
be in the
nice
best
person.
space.
You're a really nice person, and try to get what you want.
So like tourists think that Cubans are this extraordinary people that,
Yeah.
that go beyond to be generous and to be good hosts,
Yeah.
And so how do you deal with that and telling them then, well, yeah, but look, like for example, at a video I just showed, or look at kids, who can't eat,
I I I
a
try.
good diet. How do you try to make
You
that,
know, I
bridge?
always try to let them talk. I encourage them to talk what they know and whatever they want to say, and then I try to interact with them and try to get a conversation going, and then I share my point of view and make them talk about it. Like, for me, it's not an interview; it's a conversation when I'm
Right.
on the streets, because that's when you get the most out of people.
Absolutely. I think so, but and then I'm also wondering, because when people like I talk to a lot of young people or Uber drivers or whatever, and we're sitting there in the car and they're like, "Man, yes, I love to go to Cuba. I would love to go to Cuba because I hear about the nightlife. I hear about
Yeah,
the
exactly.
woman, or the if it's a woman, it's a man, and I hear about the fun." And so so then I sit there, I'm like, yeah, most people again are hustling, and one of the ways to hustle is prostitution,
Exactly.
because it's one of the only ways to either get out of the country, or
And
it's
then
one of the few
it's
ways to get out of the country, because there's only
uh,
two ways to
and
get
it's
out.
funny. It's funny because the Cuban prostitution is kind of like a really smart way to get into people's mentality.
Yeah.
And yeah, and one of the things is like the fact that you try to work their mind uh, lovely, like you're lovely, and you try to create this, like, you are my world, and I want everything from you and nothing else than love. And then at the end, there are a lot of stories here that
Before,
you can see that it's completely opposite.
all right, before
And
we put the link, let's try something out. Give people a little taste of kind of like what it be. So I'm a guy at the mall, whatever. You just run up to me.
yeah.
What, like I don't know, do a question from the past in one of your videos or whatever that you would ask me as a tourist. So first I go and try to answer it as a tourist, and then we can try to answer as Cubans, both of us. But first, like let's try that out. I know I'm getting you kind of off. Like we didn't do
Yeah,
this
you didn't
before, but
convince.
I didn't tell you we were going to do this. But like
Exactly.
in
No,
one of
but
your
it's okay.
videos, like I'm some
It's
dude
okay.
at the
You
mall
know
or
what?
whatever.
A lot of people turn me off. Like they actually tell me no. And the girls they make a lot of fun
Uh,
because I guess I don't know. I'm not attractive, I guess.
but no,
And
but
then,
come up to me, like just give me a question that you would typically ask somebody out on the streets or in one of your
well, if
past
I if
videos.
I if I see you and you're in the mall, for example, I will come up to you and I will say, "Hey, we are a YouTube channel, and we're looking for some insights. We talk about Cuba. Do you know something about Cuba? Do you want to talk about it?" And
Yeah,
then,
I want to talk about it.
yeah,
So, I know about the resorts. I know that you guys have amazing mojitos, and I know that you guys have amazing music and good parties. You all party a lot. So what do you like? So then how you would like go from there? Because that's the typical answer I get.
well, I say, okay, yeah, we have an amazing mojito and this and that. I try to like talk about it. I make it comfortable. I try to make the person comfortable, and then when
You say, yeah, I make good
yeah,
mojitos too. I'm in Canada.
like I
Like,
will I will say then, what else do you know about Cuba? Like, do you know how the Cuban lives, or do you know like how the politic works, for example? Like, tell me what you saw when you went there. Like, what's your feeling about the people that you're seeing there, the people that you're talking to. What do they say? Like, and it's really funny.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really
I
funny.
bet, because like I remember when I went with a few Americans, friends of mine, to Cuba many years. It was like 5 6 years ago, and one of the things that surprised them was that they would answer you if they were like, yeah, I saw that people didn't want to talk about politics, and when they did, if they was around a government building or if it was around a taxi, they were
Mhm.
they were very careful, and there was one or two that like went beyond to say that Che was great, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, wait, in one of my interviews, this guy said, oh, "Okay, what do you think about Fidel Castro?" I say, "Well, what do you think?" And he's like, "Well, one a guy told me that he was the best." And I'm like, "Okay, what this guy was trying to do with you?" And he's like, "No, he was trying to sell me some cigars." And I'm like, "What do you think it is? That's the selling point.
Yeah, it's part of
This
that
is
fantasy that
it's part of
they
the selling point. If you if
as part
and
of it's they sold this brand of Cuba that is that it kind of fits in with everything you see when you go there, because you see everything from the 1950s. You see people living a normal life, but kind of like biking around. So for a tourist, they're like, oh, that's very healthy. They're always biking around, riding on horses and this and that, and they don't know that that's really out of necessity. There's no other way around it.
yeah, and some you see, if I tell you that pretty much like the 60% of the Torontonians, they've been to Cuba. I can say that just by throwing a number that I think I'm not mistaken, and they know a lot, but sometimes they just don't want to like actually say anything, or they are not aware of the kind of like hurt they are giving to the people in Cuba. And that's something that I'm trying to kind of wake up in the Canadian community. And the other thing is like we're trying to unify the Cuban community, because I think the Cuban community in Canada is kind of spread all over the place, and they don't actually engage. And this is something that we are creating now, and I think all these like come out of the Real Cuba is helping a lot for people to actually come together and talk about the problems that we have in our country, and actually spread the word out, and let the people know what we're going through. I think that's the biggest I think the biggest thing that we've done so far. And there are a lot of Cuban Canadians that are giving us a respect for that, and we are becoming really good friends, and we're trying to do everything for our families in a way that they understand that they need a change.
Yeah, here in the U.S., about a couple of years ago, we started doing things like this, and now in Canada, you guys are doing it even better. So like this. And I was at a mall here in DC, where we started getting everybody. We went up to people, talked to them, and we got the whole experience. I think the students do it before, and now you guys took that to another scale. I don't have the video with me, but you guys got everybody to start singing Padre Vida, which is a song by Gente de Zona,
Yeah,
and many
that
other,
was
Yotuel from Uricha, a bunch of highly known international artists from Cuba that came along to do this song. And they've sung with Enrique Iglesias, with Mark Anthony, with all these great artists, and they did this song called Padre Vida, which is now the anthem of really the Cuban exile and the Cubans
yeah.
outside and inside Cuba, where we're all singing it. It's becoming legal in Cuba. People are getting arrested for playing the song or going and singing it in the streets. But it's something. It's a trademark, and I think you guys. I saw an event where you guys got Canada most of I don't know if it was Ontario, Toronto, wherever you guys were at, but you got everybody
We were
singing
in
it.
Toronto. It was actually the first big rally that we ever done, and we didn't expect so many people. Like, it was insane. It was insane. Like, when I saw so many Cubans, I was so excited that I forgot about my video. I forgot about everything. I just wanted to be like blending with all my Cubans and all my my country heritage. Like, everybody was there. People that you don't even think that they were gonna be there. You will see them, and we were hugging, and we even forgot about COVID at once. Like, we had to, like, kind of like say, okay, guy, we have to actually keep the distance and whatever. But by that time, we were in lockdown. We just had to, like, had some, you know, not
Or let me
try
yeah,
try not to engage too much. Huh?
first let me share your link of your YouTube. So anybody who, my bad, man, I need to do this first. So let me
No,
get
no
you the
worries, no
link.
worries. Yeah.
It's the Real Cuba channel. So if you put the Real Cuba, you will find it, everybody. But let me copy the link and put it on the comments. It's in the description. So if you go down to the description, you see his link to his video too. Like, I really like it. I really like the interactions that are made there. I think it's like I think it's great construction of changing the mindset and what people usually see and think about Cuba when it's brought up.
Yeah,
So
and we've done so far. We haven't been able to go out that much because of the lockdown. I
okay,
don't know if you guys know, here in Toronto, we are in lockdown. We are not allowed to be on the streets, pretty much, only for work. And if you are not working, you people are in the house. Like, it's incredible, the conscience of the people in this country, because they actually are trying to keep everybody safe. And that's the other thing that I want to actually kind of like transmit to the Cuban people, the way that we actually care uh, to each other. And that's the thing, man. Like, everything positive. That's all we want for Cuba.
that's right.
Everything positive.
So, like, to make it, let's go to some of the comments here in the chat. Let's make it a little more interactive. People who want to comment, ask any questions, anything you have, while we dive into what do you know about Cuba and the Real Cuba. Let's I put the link of the Real Cuba down below, but the link to the StreamYard is there too, in case you want to comment and ask any questions. Those people on Facebook, please check it out on YouTube. Always make sure, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, come subscribe on YouTube. Give me a share, a like, and all the above. So yeah. So let's go through some of the comments here. Let's see. I saw a comment from Dolores that was pretty good. She says, "Freedom for Cuba," right?
Yep.
Right there.
Freedom for Cuba, no more communism.
Awesome. I think we both endure, and that's, I guess, we're doing a soft selling of that. Well, you're doing a soft selling of that through your through
Yeah,
your
that's what
initiative.
I'm trying to do. My main thing is like, and we actually, here in Toronto, we have a huge movement of Chinese people doing the same. And it's really funny, because we were in one of the caravanas that we did. We were like driving, and all of a sudden, in one of the main streets, we saw this amount of, like, people with a lot of, like, signs, and they were actually protesting against communism. And then everybody was chanting it at the same time.
I love the comments that Dolores is putting. She's putting, freedom for the all political prisoners too over here, for all Cuban political prisoners. Let's see what else. I love the comments. Dolores is really livening up the chat with great stuff that we need to always remember. There's more than 140 political prisoners actively, and there's about, I don't know how many, probably hundreds, almost hundreds right now, with police escorts outside their house, and they get arrested, detained, and then sent back. So technically, they're not prisoners, but
Exactly.
Jose Lagos over here is having a little throwback with Cureche, doing a little back and forth with Cureche. Oh yeah, baby, I like that name, Cureche. We have Sergio. He says in Spanish, "Para nada." There's something blocking my site here, man. Okay. Um, oof, there's
Para
something wrong
nada,
with
pero
it.
como
But
soy feliz, tengo 17 nietos.
oh wow, 16
Wow,
grandsons.
you must be
That's
happy.
a baseball team. Um, I put the link there. So let's keep. So everybody, you know, it's focusing.
I encourage you guys to come up and we can just debate about any situation that is in Cuba
Hi
right now.
guys.
Hi, Iskra, how are you?
Hey,
Hey, how
Nice to
are
see
you
you.
guys? It's good to see you.
we're doing great.
I
Iskra, and
haven't
let's talk
Let's
about
talk about
Cuba.
Cuba.
Joins us another channel that you can always check it out, and she's amazing with they do talk about like going into the weeds of exactly what's going on in Cuba and all the oppression and everything that's going on. Let's go and let's talk about Cuba, and Iskra's channel is like perfect for that. So how you doing, Iskra?
I'm doing good. Just a lot, a lot of work. It's tax season, and as you guys know, I'm an accountant, so it's been crazy. It's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, I've been keeping up with everything that's going on, so I'm glad you guys are doing this today, and we need to continue to do the work. And I'm glad that somebody's doing it when I'm not available.
We're happy to see you. We're happy to see you.
We are we need to continue the work, especially in English, because the word needs to get out there. So today I tweeted about what happened in the San Isidro, with them going in there and taking him away. I mean, did you see the way they took him away?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
And
That's
then
crazy.
they got all the people that were trying to help them, like saying, "Hey, trying to get in the way." They pretty much violated them.
I know the last one was the worst. The last one was the worst when they had to like run with it.
Yeah,
they picked them up in the middle of the street, picked somebody up, and just let's go.
It's insane. Like there's
and
no
then
respect. No respect.
And then they took out all the artwork. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you invade somebody's property? And I'm sure they probably don't have any paperwork or court, anything.
I'm actually wondering, guys, do you wonder like me, what is Michelle Bachelet doing in the U.S.?
I love the link from Panama, please. Well, for those, it's an inside joke. There's a beautiful patriot of ours that's always denouncing things that are going on in Cuba. But in every YouTube channel, he goes, he's from Panama. He lives in Panama. He's like the link from Panama. So that's a key word.
It's
something else. Actually, you need to go to my channel too.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's coming. He's coming everywhere.
Yeah.
He's coming.
So yeah,
but we were getting into the real Cuba, Iskra, because when we talk to Americans or to anybody from the outside, they kind of see it very from they have a perception that the media sells and that the dictatorship has sold. Honestly, that's been they've done a really good job of selling their signs, the health, the party atmosphere in Cuba, the beach, the mojito, the all the great things about Cuba, but they left out the oppression, the people who don't get healthcare, how bad the healthcare system actually is. They leave out how there's lack of transparency with science. They leave out how people have to one of the only ways to get out of Cuba and get out of that situation is by hooking up with a tourist, and kind of it's a way of prostitution, really, when you think about it. And when people really tell me about when their visit to Cuba, they were like, "Well, the peace people are amazing. They told me to come in and drink coffee and without even knowing me, and they walked with me down the block and found me, the cigars I was looking for without me asking." They were great hosts, and I'm like, yeah, they're hustling you. That's what they're doing. I mean, they're great people, but.
Just so you guys know, one of the things I've been doing also. So today's tweet was, this is what's really happening in Cuba while the world turns their
faces out,
around. Well, this is what really happens. And so what I have also been doing, like on all these news channels on YouTube, where they've been covering this Congress, in the comments area, where people are saying, they're saying how Raul is coming out and how they're saying how great Cuba is. I've been putting comments on there also,
Let's talk about that. So since we're talking about what's really going on in Cuba and what you don't know about Cuba, so people always ask, is Raul dead? And the answer is no, he's alive. Then they ask like, well, is Fidel alive? And I know he's dead. But what people really need to know is that at the end, even though you're gonna see news and they happen over the weekend that Raul says he's retiring, he's still pulling the strings. He designated his let's say the husband of his daughter, his not father-in-law,
his
son-in-law.
Son-in-law.
He put his son-in-law as the pretty much the guy head of the money. So he is
exactly.
the
administrator
of the military
country.
branch that holds everything from the government. He's the one that holds the money, and then he names one of his grandsons as the head of intelligence and the head of the army, and then he put some other guys as the head of the army. But at the end, like the family, the Raul family and the Raul people around Raul are the ones controlling the government still right now in Cuba. And like I said, they're like making sure that people don't do any type of dissonance right now because there's also not enough numbers. We're trying our best to empower people and to give them the determination to go out and claim for their rights. It's hard work because we're from here, so they tell them, yeah, come here and do it. So, so that's the challenge we have. And the challenge they have is that they're indoctrinated and don't have freedom of information like we do. They're only seeing state-run TV. So anyway, do you guys want to really speak to that? Because people, I really don't think they really don't really know how it works, that why people don't go out and protest.
Well, I mean, basically, people are afraid. They're afraid, and what I have been hearing, the feedback I get from the people I've been interviewing, because I have interviewed a lot of these oppositions. Basically, what they've been telling me is that the younger generation is ready. They're ready to go out. They're ready to go out there because they're done with it. They want to change. But the older generation, the parents, they're afraid for their lives because they see what happens to the people that come out. They see that they get, thrown into jail, that the society turns their back on them, that they will not be able to work again. They will be taken out of their school and universities. Basically, they will never be able to have a normal life in their homeland. And I'm not even going to go into the details of all the torture that happens once they're in jail, because there currently there is torture in our jails.
And we are not even talking about the stupidity that is in the government right now, like in the dictatorship, because it's a dictatorship. We have to talk about that. We have to talk with the word that they actually deserve. Like, this is a dictatorship, and they are doing nothing for the people. They are taking all their rights. They are doing whatever they want with their lives. And what is important is that what we're trying to do is let the Cuban know that there is a life out there. There is life, and then let me tell you something that happened to me today. This is today or yesterday, I don't know. Someone was talking about with me online, and we were kind of debating, and he comes to me and he's like, yeah, but I've been outside of the country. It's someone in Cuba that they actually have somehow they come out of the country and they go to Africa and Latin America. And he's like, and I see a lot of poor people in Africa and Latin America. And I'm like, okay, my friend, but there is a world out there. Right. Like even Latin American countries that are the poorest countries, the Cuban goes there and the Cuban goes ahead. And then in your own country, you cannot do that. There is a problem then.
But there's a problem. I mean, listen, I am starting to see a problem here in the States. To be honest with you, when I see what's happening here, I am afraid. I am afraid that we cannot speak up. Mm-hmm. I am afraid that people are starting to shut down and they're afraid of talking because they get, pointed at. I am afraid of what's happening out there with our police department. To be honest with you, I'm afraid of what's happening. This is the premiere of what happened at the beginning in Cuba.
Well said.
Oh, we gotta learn how to say that phrase in Spanish, in English that our friend here was saying. How to say "estamos puestos" in English. We gotta find out how to say that. It'll be
we're on. We're on.
It'll be like
we're on.
Hi,
I have the honor here to have an amazing patriot, and I'll leave it at that because I know he doesn't like talking a lot about himself. Right there, how you doing, brother?
Jose, Iska, Yusbel. Hey, Jose, it's a pleasure, man. First time that I coincide with your program. It's the very first time that I can see you live, and I'm glad. You have an awesome subject today, and I wanted to point out something, dovetailing with what Iskra was saying. Cuba is a big irony, even in the United States and all around the world. The people that identify with Cuba, usually are pro-socialist, are kind of leaning left. No one in the United. You almost don't see any Republican or pro-capitalist people siding with Cuba. However, most of the people that side with Cuba already are leaning towards the left, either through a university or through the channels that they watch, whatever. However, most of these people usually have an anti-government mentality. Government is never good. Never believe the government. Government is always lies. But in this case, they rather believe the propaganda of the Cuban government than the testimonies of the Cuban people. And all these testimonies, there is 100 channels of Cuban exiles that tell you how things are. But they choose not to listen to that. They choose not to listen to the people that go to the universities and give them those testimonies face to face. And they rather believe the propaganda of the communist country. So it is a bit of a call. If anyone is watching this, listen to the people, not to the government. It's true that all governments lie. But if you don't believe this government, why would you believe the other one? Exactly. So focus on the people and the testimonies like Iskras, like Jose, like Yusbel, and many others. Those have more truth than the poster with the pretty beach and, the jabs, which are not the case in Cuba at all.
Yeah. I encourage the people to see the last video that I put out because I have an incredible story with this guy from Vietnam, and I think he kind of like the whole interaction with this guy turned out to be like something really important for me because he got to say himself what he actually thought about it, and it's the same that we're saying.
Right.
And the other thing is like when you talk to Canadians, for example, I'm talking about Canadians because that's where I live. Like, but I've been all over the U.S. and I know pretty much how the American thinks. But the thing is like when you talk to these guys, the first thing they tell you is like, for example, you ask them like, "What is freedom for you?" And the first thing that came out of their mouths is like day by day life. Like day by day, every single day I have a freedom because they were born with it and they live with it.
I think people don't realize.
Then they don't, and then the second question that I ask is sorry. The second question I ask is like, do you think Canadians take it for granted? And all of a sudden they are like, oh yeah. Like they actually know that they take it for granted. And then that's when you understand that a lot of people, they just talk what they heard, but they don't live where they need to live to know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys understand me in this like, but that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. People have to actually live. Right. To understand. But what we're trying to do is make them live for a moment in that environment. I try to like take them to Cuba.
Right. So what I tell
part of Cuba,
So what I tell them is if you're gonna go, because I encourage people not to travel there, but if you're going to travel, don't go to, don't stay just in the places where the government wants you to stay.
Yep.
Go to Listen, if you go to the historic Havana, which is at least like 5 blocks, if you walk 5 blocks to the right or 5 blocks to the left, you will see the real Cuba. Believe me, you will see the real Cuba.
They just have to cross Prado.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. And you will see the buildings coming down. They're crumbling down. You need to go into the real hospitals and see what our healthcare looks like.
I did that, and I guess my interviews, my friends here that went with me that trip to Cuba are a little camera shy, so they haven't come in yet. But I took them to the hospital I was born in, and they thought they was like a war zone when they saw it. I took them to my school, and they were like,
I mean, that's the only way to open your eyes, you know?
I mean, part of my school didn't have part of the roof, so they were like, what the heck? So, you know, and people don't realize that. People don't realize that some people in Cuba are illegal because they are from the east part of the island, and they go to live in Havana, which is, you know, where 2 million people live, and there's a little more opportunity because, you know, a little more of the black market. And they get there and they're illegal. So they live in all this, tent cities, kind of, I know, and they're legal, and they get on buses, ship them back to the east part of the island. People don't realize all that. It never gets talked about. It's the silent Cuba that's why when I'm glad that the real Cuba, right, Josbel send that picture, that ministry we use, because that's not what we really want to get in this show tonight. Let's talk about the real thing, the real Cuba that people really don't really see, right? Let's talk about why it is that it's a great nightlife in Cuba. Let's talk about why it is that, you know, when you go, you get treated so like a king. Let's really get to the fundamentals of why the healthcare that's free and that supposedly solves keys for cancer. People die every day from malnutrition, malcare, lack of medicine, all the above, in order to sell that to the world. The missionary doctors that they send out in missions around the world, they get, besides the fact that they only get paid 1/10 of the salary of what the Cuban government dictatorship totalitarian regime gets. Besides all that, they use that money for themselves to invest it in spreading communism around the world. Cuba is the virus of why Latin America, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and beyond, because they're trying to spread, is the way it is. And when we say all this, we sound crazy. But believe me, folks, we're here for a reason. Like, we'll be by the beach drinking a mojito.
Exactly.
You know?
There you go. And
like I was putting that because when you search Cuba, and now that we're talking about, you know, Josbel's channel, The Real Cuba, you what you see is, you know, what do's and what don'ts in Cuba when you go visit, you know, where to go visit. And then I show a video of something that doesn't come up, which is San Isidro getting arrested in their house, you know?
Yeah.
What do you see your impression of what people really need to get at? I know you talked about the people, listen to the people, don't listen to the, you know, governments or the media. What do you think is the key to like get people, international people that really have an eye on Cuba, to like really say, okay, this really messed up and we need to take more of a stance?
I think that the strike heat should be for the people that go to Cuba, because those are the ones that are really interested. The rest really don't care one or the other. But the people that go to Cuba, for the most part, are young. They come from universities. They go on these trips of discovery to the magnificent island. And I invite them to talk to the people, especially ask why you have a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer driving a taxi cab. Why is there a famous singer prostituting herself to make, you know, to feed her family? Ask them why, and, you know, kind of look in the mirror upon themselves and say, what if I am busting my eyelashes for 8 years and I get my doctorate degree, and then I have to drive a taxi cab for $20 a night? What is wrong here? What is going on? And exactly. I think the question should be, the key is with the people, to talk with the people, not come in too aggressive because they are afraid. Not come and tell them, what do you think about Fidel? What do you think of communism? Just look upon their life. Just say, hey, how's your life here? What do you study? What if you study? What if you're a doctor, a neurosurgeon, and you're driving a taxi cab? Why? That's what they need to understand. And from the people abroad, I invite them to look at pictures, to talk to these web pages of real Cubans that they call us the dissidents, but the opposition, the people that immigrated. And I asked them, why do they immigrated? Did they immigrate to make $2 more, or because it is hell down there?
Yeah.
And
the other thing, Raidel, is like, look at Venezuela, for example. Look at Venezuela. What is Venezuela trying to do? It's trying to copy Cuba. And then when they are trying to copy Cuba, what did they do to their economy? Exactly. What did they do to their people?
Yeah.
And that's something, it's the perfect example right now. If you look at it, it's the perfect example of communism. Communism doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why do
people migrate when they have communism? You have China, you have Cuba, you have, I mean, these are perfect examples. They're constantly trying to run away from these countries. People don't run away from their country if everything was perfect there. Why would you go? Why would you leave if everything was perfect? If I had free everything like the Cuba says I have, and I had all this stuff that was free and everything was so fancy, and why would I leave? You have 3 million people, 3 million Cubans that have migrated from their country to all over the world, to different cultures, to different languages. We had to start from zero.
Exactly.
For those people watching us on Facebook from Cuba, estamos con usted. Estamos puestos. So I can say that. Because I saw the people from Facebook on my Facebook, so there you go.
The answer is usually in front of our eyes. It's simple. I invite those people that are pro-socialism and pro-communism to do a little exercise, to get a piece of paper and to write on the left side, capitalist, evil, imperialist country, and on the right side, write communist, socialist country that they think is the answer.
Pros and cons.
Start down the list, like Yusbel said. Venezuela, the richest country in Latin America, now the poorest in 20 years. And I start down the list. Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, North Korea, the Soviet countries, while they were. And then look on the left side, those who chose not to be communists, those who got out the hole, like Poland, Czechoslovakia, where they are right now, how Argentina progressed. So those are the things that, if you don't want to go to Cuba, if you just want to look at the big picture, the things that need to be looked at, because the answers are in front of our eyes. There is nothing here. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's true.
Right.
It's true.
I love this comment from Dolores. It says, lots of tourists go to Cuba for cheap sex. That's why they don't care about Cubans. They only care about their pleasures. That is a sad truth.
Yeah, it is.
I was about to say,
but I'm going to tell you something.
That's the truth. But we have to deal with it, and we have to try to change.
But but I'm going to tell you something. We have to turn that around.
Right.
And I'm working on it, and that's my main thing. Because even when I talk to people, I say, I just want you guys to be aware that this is happening.
Right.
This is what's happening with the Cuban people, and you're not helping them. And somehow the Canadian people are the most conscious people I know so far. I don't know if it's because I'm living here, but the society here, they care about each other.
Right.
They care about each other. And then that's something that I think I'm getting it, because after you talk to them, they are like, oh, okay. Even the ones that they were like kind of lefty, they kind of like go and say, oh, that's right. This is what's happening.
Well, that's what I don't get about lefties. I mean, they go around saying, they're so humane, and they're all about, society, and they're all about, wanting the best for everybody. But then, you see this stuff, and then you're like, but so what? Why are you guys doing this?
Because they tend to be humane with the money of others.
Exactly.
Yes, free school for everybody. Yes, free education for everybody. But the moment that you raise their taxes 5 or 6%, immediately they turn right. They say, well...
But there is something that I want to clarify right there. We have to stop saying free this, free that. In Cuba, nothing is free. Nothing.
That's right.
Actually, we're paying too much.
The highest tax.
The highest price. Right. That's it. What it is. We're paying too much. Our family is paying too much. And I'm already sick of it.
Yeah.
I'm already sick of it. This is we have to tell everyone we
The
are
cost is
paying
implied.
for it.
The cost is implied. The money comes from somewhere. Free as to how you perceive it, but reality, somebody's paying for it. And when no one is paying for it, everyone is paying for it.
And that is the worst, because they're paying for it and they're still not getting it.
Uh-huh.
That's the worst thing, because they're paying it. They're paying 95% of taxes and they're still not getting anything.
That's the thing that you
They're not being subsidized in any way.
Do you imagine? Look. I'm gonna make a comparison, which is what I do in my channel as well, because what I do is compare the Cuban society with the Canadian society, and whatever society I can get along the way. But for example, right now, you take I just lost the idea. We were talking about sorry,
what is free and what seems to be free but is really not free.
Exactly. Yeah, right now you take 13%, which is what we are giving to the government of Canada in our taxes, and it's more than enough to have 30 million people having the normal life that we're asking for. 13%. And with all the social benefits, with the public health care, because we have to say it's public, it's not free. People, right. Cuban people, free doesn't exist in the world. It doesn't.
So let me explain to you something. In order for a family of 4, okay, in the United States, in order for a family of 4 to get on food stamps, they need to be making bring home less than $2,184. Okay, that's what basically, they're supposed to be making less than that. A family of 4. Okay, that's poverty level.
It is.
Okay, less than $2,184. If you tell me how many families of 4 make that kind of money in Cuba.
The Gaesa family, the ones attached to Gaesa are the only ones that make that.
That's why we have to talk.
And
numbers.
The United States is giving them $600. Is giving these families $600 for food stamps so that they can eat. Now, that's a subsidized program.
I want to give you something. I want to give you one statistics that we have here in Canada. Every single kid is given from $575 to $200 a month until you are 18 years old.
For what? Because
just because you're a kid. Just because you're a kid.
Somebody's paying for that, for sure.
No, the taxes are paying for that.
Everyone's paying for it.
The taxes are paying. Everybody's paying for it. But the fact that it's going back to the kids, that is a social thing. That is a good social.
Right. Which is one of the things that I have come to the conclusion, to be honest with you. After I've been looking at and studying the economic factors in our society, in Cuba society. And to be honest with you, in order for us to get somewhere, we are going to have to start talking about those subsidies, because the Cuban government and the Cuban government has made the Cuban people and this generation, they're used to those subsidies. So in order for us to gain their trust, we're going to have to start talking about those. And I understand that we want an economic system that where people can go on their own, but that's going to take time. That mentality is going to take time.
Yeah. I love I love the approach that you're doing, that you're taking with the Real Cuba, because you're going to the streets and talking to common people, and all it needs to happen is for one of those videos to go viral. Because at the end, in the society we live in, it's all about
We have
first
to.
impression and making that 5-second hit. And
Exactly.
if we get somebody to, just motivate people to say, hey, yeah, that's, it sparks, or it helps a movement,
Yeah.
And so I really like the work you're doing with that. And I think we just need to change the way we're doing things, because it's like we're doing the same thing over and over, and it's not sending the message right.
Yeah,
Um,
we gotta change the language already. Like
yeah,
that's
I don't know if it's
what I've been
or the
saying, and
method,
that's
something.
what I'm trying to do. That's why my project, it's been like um
Well,
trying
and
to.
your project, the good thing about your project is that you're going out to the people, and and that which is, I don't know if you saw in Uruguay, they did that. They when we had the hunger strike, they went out to the boulevard and they started talking to people about it, because people didn't know what was happening. And I love that, because people need that interaction, and that it's a great thing that you're doing, you guys, and
Thank you, thank you.
it's wonderful.
So
Really is.
Really
the
appreciate
rich. Yusbel, what would be more likely? A channel like yours, let's say, if you go to a local TV station and you have your project with your information, your view, your angle of viewing things, right? And then you have 3 students from Canada that only brought pictures, tobacco, how happy everybody is. Which one do you think is more likely to make it into mainstream?
It's the happy kids,
Exactly.
It is what it is. That's why I'm trying to blend in right now. What we're doing is trying to blend in some videos that they are kind of funny, like
I'm glad.
trying to get and then get people to go through it. Like it's like we're doing this like funny videos about what's happening in Cuba in a funny way, because
I
I
bet you more
would say
people
don't change a
learn-
thing. I was making a point that we are so diluted into that mentality, because I wish for your channel to get into, I don't know what would be the main Canada TV station,
Yeah.
and that you have a space, because then they don't see any of that, they don't know it, and all they see is CNN, the paradise, the beach, how happy everybody is. Next,
the first thing that you're gonna look, this is what happened to us in the caravana. We did the caravana, and the BBC went. It was BBC or ABC, I can't remember. And the thing is that the station that went to cover it, it was one of the main stations. But then when they come and do
They turn things around.
they turn around. They were talking about that we were protesting because we didn't like the
The embargo.
no. We
Or you
didn't
don't like this.
the way the government
That's the
was
hunger strike.
taking. Yeah, we didn't like the way the government was confronting the pandemic. And you could see, and they didn't even put the signs that we had. Like the signs
Oh,
were
they said
clear.
you guys were protesting the pandemic instead of
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh snap! Oh great! Oh, that's not good.
That
Oh,
was
man.
insane. And then we say, well, at least we went for the first time ever. A Cuban community got a video out.
Yeah.
Look, if anything good that happened with the last march I went to in DC was the coverage of the media, and that was a good turnaround,
Yeah.
and that was good with in DC.
I wish that happened.
That was the high point in my view. That was the high point of that trip.
And I
media
have
coverage.
connections. I have connections, and I talk to them in the media. I've been, because I know friends of a friend, and this and that, and it's difficult to get anything.
Of course.
Because it's like you guys were saying, like they were saying, you listen about the story about, like, I don't know, something that happened with Beyonce going to Cuba, but you never hear about, the people that went on strike. And I'll put the picture again. Nobody heard about that. Nobody heard about the Unpagu being on strike, and nobody heard about, the campaigns that we were doing to try to get them help. So nobody heard about that. What people heard about was, the vaccine, or about, I don't remember what was the story in the internet mainly during those days about Cuba. It was something, I don't even remember. It was something not,
A vaccine that has
and
already killed people, by the way.
And the other thing I want to say, and I think we all agree on this. The main thing right now here is Cuba. We don't care about views. We don't care about, like, we just want the word out there. Like, we want to let people know that we need the people to really care about what's happening in Cuba right now. And we need to be aware that the international organizations are doing nothing. They are turning their faces around.
I mean, here we are. I think, where's the human rights?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I was saying, like, where is Michelle Bachelet? What is she doing?
Organization is handling?
Well, you can kiss Michelle Bachelet goodbye. Michelle Bachelet is a socialist. She's self-claimed a socialist, and she's friends with Maduro and from Venezuela. So we can just, we're not gonna get anywhere with her. But we need to push.
If you're a socialist, then you need to be. I don't understand. You can't claim to be a socialist and turn your back on what's happening to basic human rights.
Exactly.
So I think what we need to do is have, like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to claim the media. We need to try to get the media on our side. It's going to be super difficult, but it's some of the work we have to do. So, all right. So, well, let's start. The Real Cuba, like, any new update, any new videos you're working on, any last things, and then we can just go with the last topic.
We're working about on the food right now, like the food and how it's getting the food to the Canadian people, and how we are gonna make kind of like a comparison, like with the Cuba. Pasadera de trabajo and all that, like everything that's
all the hardships,
exactly.
that people regularly go to. Like, I think people will be amused with that. If we're able to do like a video on how creative people do get through a hardship of the day-to-day life of a Cuban, I think people will be impressed. I think that might capture some attention. So maybe that'd
be great.
Yeah, maybe. It's got something with Let's Talk about Cuba. Anything you're working on, or anything you want to?
Unfortunately, not. I'm in I'm in tax season, and I just don't have the time right now. I just go on my day to day. I'm involved in a lot of little projects, as you know. I'm in the background of a lot of things. But let's talk about Cuba. The channel right now is just, there's a lot of information out there in the channel that you guys can go to and you can look it up. But right now, I just don't have I don't foresee any interviews in the near future, because I'm just so ingrained in my work. Other than, what we're doing right now, we're helping, Somos Más internationally around the world.
Wait, I want you to help me, because I want to do, even if we do it in English, great. If in Spanish, we can do it too. So it depends on what people want. But I want to reach out to like the clubs, the leaders of Somos Más, and try to do what's next for Somos Más. What are they working on? Like, what's going on? What's the next campaign?
Yeah, right now we're doing we need to elect a new president. So
I know. So that's why I want to do that's why I want to do a live and kind of ask, like, what's new, what's going on, while people setting up.
So there's
any last
like a zillion WhatsApp groups that I'm behind, that I work behind the scenes, and I know you guys don't see me on. You might not see me on the panels, but there's a lot that I am involved in.
Let them know. I want to invite some of them to come by.
Yeah, it's good. There's something that I want to say. Like, it's important that the Cuban community knows that we don't need everybody doing what we're doing.
Right.
What we need is everybody trying to do
something.
to be supportive, to be on the to be cheering us on. We don't need people. Don't be against us. Is what we're saying. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Like,
don't be on the way. Don't be on the way.
And to be honest with you, the only reason why I started Let's Talk About Cuba was because there were no English YouTube channels out there. And I honestly did believe that had to be done. And so that was the main reason for it. But now that you guys are on, I don't feel that
like especially in Florida. So I live in Florida. Okay, we're a Republican state, and a lot of people come up to me and say, "Oh man, you Cubans, y'all really know about socialism, don't y'all?" I'm like, well, only if you knew. So if you really want to know why Cubans are so anti-socialist, you can come around our channels and you'll figure it out pretty soon. And it has complete logic and complete reasoning behind it. So it is what it is. Raidel, any things you want to throw out there? Any last comments you want to make to the people?
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to Alex from Temas a lo Loco. Tomorrow we're gonna start a small segment with Alejandro. Maybe we're gonna start making a series of small videos to break down.
I think people are gonna love this. It's about blockade, right?
Break down
the embargo.
We're gonna go on a chronology with the numbers, what happened, who started, who responded to what, and we're gonna break down the $9 billion that the Cuban government took from American business and companies.
It is important to say that we have to share.
Americans that are here, you probably want to know about this because this is your money that got stolen. This is your investments that were taken away. And when people come with all this BS about why America has an embargo policy towards Cuba, this is the beginning and this is why. So get your head straight. This is not this is something that was stolen away from the American people. So
I have a lot of research done on that because I did a whole program on it. So if you need any help, let me know. I have a lot of research on it.
Awesome. It's gonna be tomorrow.
So we're gonna be there with Temas a lo Loco. It's Tuesday, right? When you guys are starting?
Yeah, tomorrow at 7.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's it for me. Check out the Real Cuba. The channel the link is there. There's 2 links. The last link is the best. And I hope you check it out. I enjoyed the channel. I liked all the videos so far. I know I'm going to like the rest because I like the dynamic part of it and how it interacts with people. We're going to be here Mondays and Wednesdays. Wednesdays is sports. Mondays, it's going to be social interviews, a little bit of everything. I'm going to start interviewing Latin people, Hispanics and Americans here in the Northeast Florida region that are important, that want to do things for they want to impact in some way, shape, or form the Cuban community here. But they also want to introduce what's going on in the community and how Cubans can join all the things that are going on here in Northeast Florida. So we're going to do that. Would you let me say something, please?
I just wanted to say, like, I'm not by myself on this. I'm around.
The team, man.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by.
He has a whole team.
I have a team that is awesome. They are actually the mind of this.
Yes.
It was just my idea, but they took it away from me. Like they actually, they took it away from me, and they are awesome. And I have to thank them.
They know.
So much.
Just let them know they're more than welcome to come by here. They're more than welcome. We can talk about the Real Cuba again.
Shy.
They don't like the cameras. I know.
Well, just let them know that that this channel is always open to them, and to thank them for the work they're doing because I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I know that every other Cuban is going to enjoy it who runs by, and every other person in general is going to have fun watching it because it's really good taste and it's well done.
And the other thing is that we are in Facebook as the Real Cuba the official, and we are in Instagram the same.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So what's up? Well, good night, everybody.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good night, guys.